toss the chain. And see how that is balling up the noodles when I was noodling? That's what threw it off. All the stuff got in there. And on that 390, look what I found. Oh boy, that's this one right here. Little data points. So I guess this right here, I either need this to pull it off or to get a new one to put in there, because that's going to be a constant problem, blocking up the flow of chips. Not a bad day. So I've been wandering around a little bit and trying to keep my path open. And one of the things I want to do on this hedgerow is be able to wind back and forth through it so I can start harvesting all this firewood. My God, there's years and years worth right here. And I can leave the other sections of the farm alone and just burn this for probably the next 5 or 10 years. But it's really hard to get to. It's a little bit of a hillside, which is hard to catch by the camera. But if I can cut paths through, or I can kind of wind back and forth with the trailer, I'll be able to get a lot of firewood out of here. So, and that tree right there is in the way. So I got to cut that up. What I've been trying to do is, for the next month or so, probably the weather's going to hold. And so I come out here and get a bucket full every day for exercise. Bring the camera once in a while, you know, if I need something to do. But I'm not sure how much firewood's in that. It looks pretty rotted on top, you know. But get back in there, it looks pretty good. So hoping to get at least 1, possibly 2 bucket loads of firewood out of this tree right here. That's the goal. And what's in the bucket today? Well, my trusty 70E and that 48mm build. See, I can't think of a better way of testing a saw than just doing this, living life with it. You know, it works, it works. It doesn't, it doesn't. Build another one. That 70E has been a pretty good saw for me this year. And I had one just like it I used last year, a year before. Worked out pretty good. And if it looks like it's steep, it is. Kind of bad footing for an old fart like me to be doing this. So let's see if I can get the saw started first. See what we have. And then I can go clean this mess up. I'll turn the camera over here. I think that ought to work. I want to say it's about, I don't know, 30 degrees. And these have been sitting in the tractor for a little bit, at least since yesterday. So they're cold. Yeah, I ran this out of gas, which was my plan. No need to start that one right there. That darn thing started in 2 pulls. Let me see if I can set the camera. There's a bucket full right there. I think I'll get it right in the tractor and go load it up, bring it back to the house and get another load. What a great old saw. That thing will sit there and idle like that until the cows come home. No, that was easy. The only thing I did on that one was change the spark plug. Kill switch doesn't work, and I got to put some bar oil on it, but it's a rather unique and interesting old saw. See if it'll fire again. It oils, and usually if you throw a saw on its side and it picks up RPMs, the first thing you think is like bearings. On this saw, no, because what it is this anti-vibe thing right here. See how it moves? That's between the throttle and the carburetor. I noticed that when I would tip the saw, it would pull the carburetor open a little bit. So, other than that, this is a John Deere branded saw, and the model number is 60V, made in Japan by the same people who make Echoes. I can't pronounce it, you'll just have to read it off the tag. But this is really an Echo, just painted yellow, and it's a nice shape. It does have a case problem where somebody did that to seal a hole, I'm guessing. Probably got dropped or rubbed through or corroded or something. But as a saw, there it is. It runs. It'll turn the chain. It's got a kind of a funny pull start deal. Just to go through some of the controls. This is a decomp. Okay, so if you start up there, decomp, and if you hear it pop, come back and shut that off. It'll just keep running. The high idle is set with this little lever right here. See how that rotates up? There's your high idle. So there's your decomp, your high idle. Releases, got your same safety deal. This is a pump to augment your bar oiler, although it has an automatic bar oiler with an adjustment right here. Look at that. And to finish the discussion on what mixture to take, I'll let the cap talk the story right there. And this is probably 70s or 80s. By that time they knew how to do stuff. The quality of this thing is absolutely top flight. The castings are beautiful. The fit and finish is just beautiful. Very, 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 very well done saw. A couple of other little details. Air filter in there, carburetor in there. That knob right there is your high-speed adjuster. You have to use a screwdriver to get the low speed that you saw me do, if you were paying attention. It has a really tall gear ratio for the pull start, so with the decomp off, it is almost impossible to pull that thing. And you'll see it has a very short throw and has a lot of RPMs. Kind of interesting. I'll see if I can show you with this. And there's just no way that I'm going to pull that without the decomp. It's got a lot of compression. But watch how short the throw is when I bring it over here. I mean, like that far, and that's all it takes to get that thing running. So it's a combination of a fairly heavy flywheel, a lot of rotational mass, where once it gets spinning, it wants to keep kicking over the compression strokes. I don't know if you saw or can see in the video, that ignition system was like really strong. So I imagine it doesn't take a lot of, well, it didn't take a lot of RPMs to throw a really, really hot blue spark. And it's those things combined that make this thing obviously an easy starter. I've never seen one before. I'm just absolutely impressed with the build quality of this thing. So I'm going to have to come up with a bar and chain and make a ceremonial cut. This saw, the history behind it for me was very short. It was given to me by a fellow who was at the time quite ill last year. And he goes, "Hey Walt, I found a chainsaw at the landfill. And I only can think of one person who could do something with a chainsaw like that. And it's you." And this thing landed in my car. Well, he's no longer with us, but that is. So while it may not have a lot of value, this goes into the whole discussion about why do you keep the saw. This saw is going nowhere. This is one of my saws that's going to land in the closet there, and it's going to stay there for a very long time. First, I want to say good morning.
Hello.
How you been?
Good. Good to see you, Walt.
Is this your new felling saw?
Well, no, I actually just bought it as a backup, but it's a very old vintage Echo 660, and as it has worked out, though, I have never picked it up to really use it. I thought I would, but I always end up grabbing one of the newer ones.
Funny about that. What vintage do you think that is?
I think it's about 35 years old.
You know what the irony of this is? Is I have this Echo built John Deere, actually painted John Deere yellow, that I literally just fired up for the first time yesterday. I mean, it's been sitting around my shop for a long time. It came from a friend. Very, very, very cool. So it runs?
Yeah.
Let's see. Can you start it?
Should be able to. I wonder if I'm out of gas.
Probably out of gas, or it might need a fuel line one.
Or it might need to be more choked, you know?
Doesn't matter, it fired up and I'll cut that right out of the video. That's a cool saw.
Oh yeah, she needs gas. That's what it needs.
That's fine.
We'll put gas in it and try it again.
All right. I hear number one son down in the woods somewhere.
Yeah, we did this little section, and then there's a gas line that runs this way, and we're not pulling across the gas line or anything. So that little section of woods there, we're taking it out on Walker Road.
That sounds like one of his 576s, not the 390.
It would be my guess it's a 576.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
So while you're putting that in there, give me a little update on your 572 and those saws.
I like it real well. I like the 572 good. The older saws, though, have been doing very good for me. Take you over here and show you if you'd rather.
Yeah. So if they're on the trailer, that means they're getting used.
Well, they go between the trailer, and sometimes I just take them home in my truck.
Okay.
Like this saw is the one I used yesterday, and I took it home with me in the truck, but hung it up this morning. This is the one you built me.
Oh, the 372. Oh no, that's, yeah.
So this is the one I've been using right along. Got a lot of compression, as you know. It's a good saw. Let me go out here so we don't get fume.
Choke.
She's still going strong.
Yep.
So quite often I'll either run this one or the 572. Did everything I did yesterday with that one, felling, limbing, sectioning, everything.
Did what you wanted to do, so we move on.
Yeah.
Does it have more torque or less torque or more easy to start? I mean,
they both start good.
yeah.
And they both idle when I set them down. I do like that, so I don't have to wear out my shoulder trying to get them going. I do like that. I think they're both good. These heavier ones, this one I almost never use. It's Chinese 660, but it does run good and it is strong. It's just heavy and uses a lot of fuel. If I do use it, it's primarily just for sectioning.
Yeah.
And then the 385, very good saw, but I do find as I get older, I'm finding myself holding the lighter ones all day.
Yeah.
It's easier.
No, I get that. I've gone all 372. And I'm older than you. So anyway, let's see whether or not we can get this darn Chinese saw to start.
Okay. Okay.
Just see if it fires. And I have no idea about the bar and chain. Good sign. We'll have to see how, I mean, if it needs a tune or something, I'll deal with that. But literally, it's been sitting probably, well, almost a year.
Has it been that long?
Yeah. What you got back there?
That's my original 372. That was the one I had yesterday because I was working down there, so I threw them in my truck. It's just as a spare or a backup if I got my first one pinched. And I never had to touch it. As you can tell, my little paint mark from sharpening is still sitting right there. So,
I need to get you a top. I have to get you a handle. I got a handle for it.
yeah,
If you want, steal the handle off of this one. Stick it on that saw.
this just happened the other day. I dropped it or something. It was just a silly thing, and top of that broke off.
Yeah. Well, I think that's proof that the 372 X-torques, and that's from like 2014 or 15, right?
I don't actually remember.
But it's, yeah, it was when we first started doing stuff.
Did I get that one from you?
No, you got that before me.
Okay.
That was the one that when we first were talking, that I turned it down. Remember, we turned it down to 13,000 versus it was bouncing off the rev limiter when it first came in the shop.
Okay, so I think that must be the one then that I got from Kaler's.
Yeah.
Originally.
Yep. And it was basically in the box. So when we first got it, I was like all nervous about it. So I retuned it down, add a little more fuel on top so it wouldn't over rev.
Okay.
And that seems to be the big difference on those saws. They last a long time if you do that. That's a cool old saw, that old Echo.
Yeah. Yeah, there. Now that there's some gas in it, she ought to run.
Well, it ran before, just for a second.
Yeah.
It sucked the gas out of the carburetor is what it did.
Well, we can cut on a block of firewood. Everything is sectioned there.
Okay.
But we can do something with it, Walt.
He said we're going to go over to a piece of junk wood. See, the whole thing about what's junk wood and what's not is radically different depending on where you're coming from in this world.
See, we push off the runners up to the pile, and then the log truck just picks the logs out of there, and then the junk that's left will push down over the bank. We used to sort it all out and have it in a nice, neat pile, and they don't necessarily care that we do that. So this is a lot easier.
Oh yeah.
So we can cut on the end of this one, maybe.
There you go.
It's a nice.
That's a frozen piece of maple, right?
Yep, hard maple. You want another one, Walt?
No, that's good. Looks to me like the sooner we get a different chain on it, the better.
It was struggling a little bit, but that's a lot of wood.
Yeah.
But it probably just needs sharpening.
Yeah. So yeah, it'd give you an idea if it has any horsepower.
And she's got some juice. Yeah.
Well, cool. And thank you very much. I'm gonna have to get on out of here.
You're welcome.
And wow, Central New York. This is what New York is, folks. Not what you see in the darn cities. This is what you got right here.